What's good, y'all? It's Philly Talk with PA. It's your boy Paul Anglade, and today we got a special episode, man. He's a Tewaaraton Award winner, USILA All-American, Patriot League Offensive Player of the Year, and current Golden State Warriors guard Pat Spencer here joining us today. Pat, how are we doing?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me on. Excited to be here.
Yep. Good to hear. Good to hear. So, yeah, most people like to start with what's currently going on, but I want to start, beginning childhood. How was sports? Obviously, a household, two brothers, you're the oldest. How was sports play into your life from an early age?
Yeah, man. I think what I've always been interested in sport from top to bottom. I played everything growing up. Fortunate that I had two incredible parents that put me into just about every sport you could be a part of. I played soccer and football, then went right into hoops, and then after that went right into baseball and lacrosse. So never had an off season, and it was just kind of ingrained in us, early on, but not forced upon us. We've just always been competitive and have always loved it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, obviously, a lot of people you'll meet from Maryland. A lot of sports. They played basketball. They played, obviously, Maryland's a hot spot for lacrosse. They played soccer. They played football. How did you kind of, especially once you get to middle school, high school, realize basketball and lacrosse, these are the two, I could do something with this?
Yeah, I think as you get older, you have to specialize a little bit. I'm against it at a really young age. I think they're starting to force kids into it way too early now. But I think, when I was coming up, lacrosse recruiting was very, very early. So they finally pushed it back to where they can't talk to them unless they're a junior or whatever, right? It's September 1
September
of their
1st.
year. But when I was coming up, man, I had buddies committing eighth grade going into ninth grade. And so it was pretty ridiculous. But ultimately, I had to pick one to compete at and try to play at the highest level. And so, my story's been told a couple times, but I was small, man. I was 5'4", 120 pounds. And so, you can imagine at 5'4", 120 playing high level D1 hoops didn't look too bright. So I decided to go the lacrosse route because I was still the same competitor that I am. I realized that, height isn't as big of a factor in lacrosse. And so, knew I'd grow late. My dad's 6'4", grew 3 inches and put on 55 pounds in college. And so knew I'd be a late bloomer. So put basketball on the back burner and decided to pursue lacrosse.
Yes. Yeah, really good stuff. Yeah, so especially starting and even in middle school, high school, some guys kind of see sports as their outlet where like everything kind of goes away, like worries or struggles. Did you see sports as that, or did you see sports as just something where I could just, kind of whatever?
No, I wouldn't say it was like an outlet for me. It's something that I loved my whole life. It's just something that I'm a believer that if you have a dream, you got to chase it. And so, like I said, still have two incredible parents that allow me to pursue my dreams and push me to be the best at whatever I wanted to do, and surrounded by just awesome people. So, yeah, we all have different struggles that we go to, but I wouldn't necessarily say that's the initial reason I got involved in sports. Just a pure love of the game, love of competing. Yeah, like I said, my parents put me in everything.
So it's always gotta thank the parents. Uh, always gotta thank the parents.
For sure.
Yeah, so yeah, high school, once we get to high school, we're at a powerhouse, MIAA. For those who don't know, MIAA powerhouse, Baltimore area conference, boys Latin. They're good at pretty much every sport they put out on the field or the court. What was it like going to that big of a high school where sports is like that's the thing? Like, was there any pressure or were you just kind of like going with the flow?
No, no pressure. I went there and I told you I grew late, so I needed the extra year. I did my freshman year down in Annapolis, and then decided I was going to transfer to Baltimore and give myself the extra year. So I repeated my freshman year because the recruiting stuff at that time was just so ridiculous. So Got that extra year, had to sit out my freshman year at Boys Latin, so it kind of helped me get integrated into the everyday flow of things, taking a bus for an hour and 20 minutes to get to school and getting home late. Long year for sure, but surrounded by some incredible people. And then, like you said, I mean, just kind of a known history there for getting things done and winning at a high level. And that was something I wanted to be a part of and push myself and ultimately help try to grow and sustain.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a senior year on the basketball court, average 14 and 8, which is that's pretty good. That's pretty good for high school. A guy that most people had probably written off early on. So, we don't know what he's going to be. Obviously, yeah, growth. They keep improving the game on and off the court. Who is the best, do you think, uh, high school player that you played against, basketball or lacrosse?
Tough. Played against hoops wise. I was younger. I think I was a year or two behind. Dude, Phil Booth played at Villanova, so I hadn't hit a growth spurt yet. Just always loved his game and his feel for the game. But the DMV is loaded with talent. I mean, I played pickup against a bunch of guys. You know, Josh Selby, um, you name it. This is obviously before I got into NBA and stuff. So I've played against a million guys now.
Uh, so yeah, obviously a really good basketball, really good lacrosse. So we've already kind of split down to those two sports entering high school. At one point in your high school career where did you say to yourself, college lacrosse would be the best route over basketball?
Yeah, I mean, that happened pre-high school. Unfortunately, like I said, recruiting was so insane back then that I had to pick one. AAU and club lacrosse at the same time. So the overlap would have just been undoable for me. So had to make that call pretty early on and did so probably like eighth grade and decided I couldn't go the AAU route. So yeah, I was chasing tournament, chasing camps, you name it, trying to get recruited. I was under recruited for lacrosse as well. So I had two offers coming out of high school for lacrosse. Mainly because the recruiting was so absurd. So I committed to Loyola sophomore to junior year of high school, and at the time that was considered late. So, all the other high major schools had filled their spots, and fortunately, Coach Jimmy and the staff over there had kept a few spots open for some late bloomers like myself. They had a history of developing those kinds of guys, and so I'm a homebody, so it was a match made in heaven for me.
Yeah, was that a big part of your decision? Like, I want to stay home or I want to go further away?
Yeah, definitely a big part. And quite frankly, I just wanted to compete at the highest level. So Loyola had come off a championship, within the previous 5 years of me attending there, and so that was something where they were kind of a national team, and there's a standard there that I was excited to go and be a part of. So, the ACC schools and those other schools had filled out their spot pretty quickly, and so we felt like we had a pretty gritty group of guys that maybe were a little bit overlooked, and yeah, man, I wouldn't trade those 4 years for the world.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I played in the WCAC with Grant. So, yeah, I know what it's like, high level lacrosse. You just going out there, with the boys, like ride or die no matter what. It's really good. It's really important, I think, for winning teams to have that special bond where you could say something even years later, like, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I think that's something, yeah, not a lot of the players can say. So,
Yeah, for sure.
so we get to college now. Yeah, obviously Loyola Maryland. You guys pretty much top of the rankings. All of your 4 years, 49, yeah, 49 and 19 record. And yeah, one thing I noticed about you is always had more assists than goals. Was that, could you talk about maybe if basketball, like point guard instincts, like kind of turned you into onto the lacrosse field where you're kind of looking to distribute rather than score first?
Yeah, I feel like it's always been one of the stronger. points of my game, whether it's across the hoops, just the ability to try to make other guys around me better. Kind of ingrained in me pretty early on. I played quarterback as a kid. Um, Obviously played point guard, and when you play X attack and you're behind the goal, you see the whole defense. And so, yeah, for me, it was just about. It's always been about just making the right play, whether that making a bucket, getting a goal, but oftentimes having the ability to create offense and dodge and make plays for others. The defense has to react. And so for me, it's never been about points or goals or assists, you name it. It's just about making the right play.
Yeah, I remember, yeah, seeing you probably one of my first memories of lacrosse, watching lacrosse, because I was in middle school at the time, and my coach was like, "Yo, like, try to watch some games on Saturdays, stuff like that." I remember turning on, I see Loyola versus Yale, um, in the play. I remember, yeah, I remember seeing this guy in white, number 7, and him just dicing up the defense. I'm like, how do you make that? How do you see that pass? Like, how do you see the guy was like gonna cut? Yeah, because I'm a defender, and
Okay.
and I would always like just despise the guy at X who could like look at he was doing one thing and then hit the guy on the back cut for a doorstep look goal. So yeah, and yeah, that's I don't think a lot of players can do that. Like have the ability. That kind of like point guard vision. I think was really special. One thing that was really special about your game. So,
I
but
appreciate it.
yeah, so so we go freshman, sophomore, junior, always more assists than goals. Your senior year now, you can talk more about this, but like there was like kind of an explosion, like conference program record points. Like tell us more about how that season went.
Yeah, I think there's just a comfortability. You're every year it's a new team, but I knew senior year was going to be a um, pretty good chance for us to try to make a run, and I felt like I had to leave it all out there. So I knew what my journey was going to be after lacrosse. I hadn't really spoken too much about it, but for me that was kind of like what, you might as well leave it all out. I've been playing lacrosse my whole life, enjoyed the entire journey. But ultimately, it was kind of one of those leave it all on the field moment, and that was kind of like the culmination of the whole year for me. So I had a blast, man. Like I said, I wouldn't trade those 4 years for the world. The goal was always to get to the NBA, but um, those years with my grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, mom, dad, brothers, the whole family in the stands. Can't put a price tag on that. So I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, that's the one thing I always loved about when playing lacrosse, how like entire families would be there. I love going to certain away games because I knew like um, parents were gonna be loud, like supporting their kids. Our parents were gonna be loud supporting their kids. Certain fan bases at certain schools, like I don't know Gonzaga College High School in DC, Washington DC.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, crowds like that. We played Calvert Hall a couple of times. Like the crowd's gonna be ruckus. Um, but yeah, I think yeah, family attending is probably what makes one of the things that makes lacrosse such a great sport to watch because everybody's really into the game because they know someone that's on the field. Um, but yeah. So great senior season. Um, you you finish obviously toward time award finalists. Did you know like I got like were you thinking like I got this in the bag or were you thinking like was there another guy that could have also had it that year?
For the Tewaton,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, man, it's an honor to get it, but it wasn't. It, it didn't matter to me. Like I knew what I had done on the field, and if the outside folks from the foundation selected me, then obviously it's an incredible honor and just what it means to the history of the game. So beyond grateful that they recognized what I did and supported what I did on the field, but all the other guys that were standing up there were deserving as well. So none of my beliefs or perceptions of myself come from that outside noise. But at the end of the day, it is a great honor to be, in the history books with all the great winners. And I'm thankful that they selected me. But quite frankly, it was more so an award for my grandparents, my parents, just the countless years of travel, putting in work, hotels, club lacrosse, you name it. Driving up to Boys Latin an hour across each way to come watch games, taking me there on Sundays for practices. That award wasn't for me, so I'm thankful that they recognized my play, but my play was backed by the love and support of the people that I'm closest with.
Yeah, that's really special, man. That's not a lot of people can say that. So yeah, you definitely got that. So speaking of greatness, historical like lacrosse greatness, I once again like one of the first lacrosse games I actually remember watching the entirety of the game, Loyola, Maryland versus Yale, quarterfinals. The talk of the week was Pat Spencer, Chris Fake, who's gonna win the matchup. Who do you think was the toughest defender in college lacrosse during your career that you had to face?
Tough one. He Fake was good. We were bummed, man. We were like a very small, craftier team that year. And look, the conditions are the conditions. They beat us fair and square. But we were definitely much more of a slippery, dodging, um, quick team. And pouring down rain, it was a monsoon that game. So pretty tough to change direction out there. And so I think that played into their hands quite a bit. I didn't play a great game that game. They didn't either, honestly. I think they scored like 7 goals. It was just kind of a gritty game, and they were probably the better team that year. And so it's going to take certain conditions and certain atmosphere for us to win. They had TD facing off, I believe, still at the time. So it was an uphill battle for us, and it definitely didn't work out the way we wanted it to. Not to take anything away from Chris, but just tough to gauge that matchup given where we were at. You know what happened, dude? I think you just get so much bigger, stronger, faster as you go on in college too. And so some of the
Right.
guys I remember are like from the earlier days. The kid at Navy was actually pretty good, Chris Fennell or Fennell, I have to say his last name. But I was smaller, as a freshman. I didn't weigh as much as I did. I just didn't have as much muscle on me at the time. So there were probably some better defenders like junior, senior year, but I was also just bigger, faster, stronger at that time too. So it's tough to gauge a particular matchup.
Yeah, I know you obviously attackman, but one of my favorite defenders growing up during that, Jared Connors, uh, LSM at UVA. I don't know if you probably never matched up against him,
Yeah,
but
we might have overlapped a little bit, maybe a year. I can't remember exactly. I know the name, um, but I don't remember matching up with him. And obviously he was in LSM, so I don't know if we ever even went head to head.
yeah. But yeah, and then what Chris Sabia, Penn State
Yeah,
Bull. Yeah, he was also a solid guy, but yeah, it was yeah, I think your senior season.
we matched up senior year
Yeah,
in the quarters. They had a pretty stacked team there too, so they got us.
sometimes team it wasn't the team's day sometimes, and sometimes we just gotta look on to the next. But
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Sorry, go.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. It happens.
yeah. So during that senior season, obviously PLL draft, Archers first overall, they select you, but then you obviously go decide later, I guess, to go to Northwestern to play basketball. But did you already know that you didn't want to play pro? You wanted to give like when did you want to say like I want to give basketball another shot after not playing really for 4 years?
Yeah, I had the itch my whole time in college, so I knew I was going to play again. And I was fully transparent with Paul and the PLL. Yeah, I didn't want to mislead him at all. I wanted to let him know where I stood, and I think they were aware, but I think they were also probably like most people a little bit betting against me, not betting against me, but they probably didn't know that I was really going to chase the NBA as hard as I chased it. So I think they probably thought, he'll go play college hoop for a year. And I believe the rules in place were that, you get the right to the player that you draft for like 2+ years. And so the Archers felt like it was worth the risk to maybe take me. Um, and then see if it didn't play out after that 1 year college hoops, and then maybe come back. But I tried to be fully transparent and told him what my dream was, and told him where I was going to get to. And I believe it or not, I think they went on to have some pretty incredible years. So I don't know where they ended up this year, but um, I think they ended up drafting a couple guys after me that panned out pretty well. And so hopefully I didn't leave them too deep in the hole after that year one selection.
Yeah, I think they've made a couple of runs in the playoffs since then, obviously, but yeah, that was I remember people were like, not necessarily betting against you, but they were kind of like, is this guy really think that he's gonna make it in this other sport? He hasn't played for a while. Like, why? I think a lot of it was really like why, and yeah, you out just explain like your decision, why you thought it was best. Like, let me give. I really feel I have another shot at this. Let me go to Big Ten program, competitive Big Ten program. You're playing against obviously the Purdue's, the Rutgers, the Michigans. Um, take us through. You go to Northwestern. How did that year you feel pan out in the end?
Oh man, it was a tough year. We lost a lot of ball games. We competed, but we were really young. We had a lot of freshmen and sophomores who went on to do great things. Obviously, I'm pumped for Chris and the program as a whole, Brian James, everybody over there, to be able to build that up to a competitive March Madness team year in and year out is damn impressive. But I was on the front end of that. So ultimately, it was a lot of learning for everybody involved, myself included, man. I had a lot to figure out about my game, what I needed to improve, just in my game, with my body in general. So I owe Northwestern everything that way. They've been incredible to me. Quite frankly, I wouldn't be where I am without them. So, learning experience, I think, for everybody involved, and ultimately on the back end, it worked out for everybody. So to see Boo Booey go on and have the career that he had there, it's just incredible. And then for me to be able to kind of accelerate and learn and grow at the next level, it's been incredible for me. So I owe Chris and Brian and Northwestern as a whole everything that way.
Yeah, but at least, yeah, I feel, yeah. So obviously a tough year, but at least you know the things like I can work on, maybe whether it's shooting or it's passing vision, whether it's a defensive statistic, you knew like at least I know like what I can work on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, so Northwestern that year goes, what are you thinking, let me enter the draft or let me go straight to overseas and continue to play? What was kind of the thought process there?
Yeah, the goal was to get into the G League, to crack the G League and figure out how to make an impact. And that was the COVID year, so everything kind of shut down. The G League ended up having a bubble. I live and learn a little bit. I had a verbal agreement with one of the G League teams and didn't have anything in writing, and came back to bite me a little bit. Some teams didn't send their G League team to the G League bubble, and so they put their two ways on other teams, which ended up taking some spots away. And live and learn. I decided, after 1 year of college hoops, I couldn't have a blank year on the resume, and got the rug swept out from under me on the G League opportunity, and so went overseas to Germany for 2 months. Um, Learned a lot over there, but also a unique time. It was unique time for the whole world. We were in COVID, so we had a 9 o'clock curfew. Nothing was really open, and I had to quarantine and only played a handful of games over there. So um, another live and learn experience. Came home, played in the G League with the Wizards G League team, Capital City. Another learning experience there as far as how contracts work in the G League, Exhibit 10, two ways, etc. But felt like I put some really good film together and ended up putting a really good summer of workouts in pre-summer league with the Wizards and got the call to go to summer league there. Got limited playing time in the first few games, and maybe had some choice words for a couple folks within the organization to give me an opportunity to get on the floor. I wasn't looking for a vacation in Vegas during the summer. I was looking to get out there and get after it and compete, and so played the final two games. They finally gave me an opportunity. We played Indiana and beat them pretty handily, and then played really, really, really well against the Warriors, and that's when I got the nod to come out here and get after it.
That's a heck of the story because there are guys that would be maybe this isn't the best journey, and maybe I should try something else. I think you've seen the memes where people are like, just go start the LinkedIn already, open for work. But you obviously you stuck with it. You trusted in like your plan or you trusted whatever comes next. And yeah, I think yeah, that's obviously paid off. I eventually I get signed to the two-way with the Warriors. And the last 1.5, 2 seasons. So yeah, how is your um has your view on the NBA, like playing in the NBA changed like once you got there? Were you like shoot, I'm really here now? Or were you kind of just like not going with the flow, but just kind of taking it in like slowly?
Yeah, no, I've always believed in myself and the work that I put in, and so yeah, I don't get like starstruck or anything. I view every human as a human being, and so I try to take a lot and learn from a lot of different guys, coaches. Obviously, a heck of a locker room that way here with 4+ championships and some incredible people. So just blessed to be in the position I'm in. I'm still working, man. I feel like I got an opportunity last year in the playoffs to impact the game a little bit, and so for me, it's about taking the next step and just making the most of it.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously at Golden State, that's a proud organization where not just Steph, but obviously Clay, Dre, Katie, Sean Livingston, Kevon Looney, other guys. How did you feel when you real like a coach in Steve Kerr with that kind of pedigree? You're like a guy like Steve Kerr is trusting in me to be on the floor with these guys and contribute to wins.
I mean, it means the world, I think, I chose to come here because I value the same thing that they all value. So, um, it means the world that they see what I put in, the work that I put in, the way that I play the game is appreciated. Quite frankly, I want to be surrounded by competitors, people that value the same thing that I do. So, high IQ basketball, playing the right way, making other guys around you better, being a great human being on and off the court, just being a competitor at the end of the day. I think that's why, I've hit it off with a lot of guys in this locker room.
Yeah, yeah, obviously one of those guys, Steph Curry. Like we've seen obviously a lot of guys are like unstoppable. Like they seem unstoppable, whether it's Shaq, KD, LeBron, Kobe. When you see this guy, like he's not the biggest. He's 6'4" guard. When you see this guy coming up the court, barely make stops, barely pass half court, chucks up a shot, and it goes in. Like what's going through your head? Like, is this dude what does this dude have that like others seem to haven't even really figured out yet?
Yeah, you just become numb to it, dude. There's just a level of shot making that you can appreciate from the work that goes on behind the scenes. So, you're with him every day. You see the level of work that goes into his workouts. He practices the way he plays. Like he's not sitting around just doing spot shots for 20 minutes. He's on the move all day. It's just an elite level of shot making. So you almost ultimately become a little bit numb to it because it's pretty damn incredible.
Yes. Yeah, and then yeah, a guy like Steph, he kind of changed the mantra in Golden State where now in order to be a guard, you have to be able to move around without the ball better than when you have it in your hands. So do you feel like you've gotten better moving off the ball
Yeah, I
since you've
think
been in Golden State?
that's where the IQ comes into play. It's just being able to play off of others. So you've got guys that are elite at certain things, and ultimately the goal is to surround those guys with people that improve and enhance their game. So you see it across the league, man. You're trying to fill out rosters with high IQ guys that can help the stars and make a real impact. So, Denver was winning when they had Bruce Brown and KCP. Boston started winning when they got Drew Holiday, Derek White. This organization's been really good for a long time when they've surrounded Dre, Steph, those guys with the Livingstons, the Iguodalas. It's just there's no science to it, man. It's just there's no secret to it. I mean, it's just about having high IQ guys that know how to play the game the right way and can impact winning. So what I try to do when I step on the floor. Got a pretty veteran locker room, so it's tough to crack the lineup at times. But ultimately, there's a belief that they've done it this way 4 times, and it's about impacting the game when you get on there to improve the game of the players around you.
Yeah. So you're obviously you could say a chill guy, doesn't like under kind of seems to like to fly under the radar, if you will. Um, Game five, first round of this year's playoffs. Obviously, Houston, they got a lot of guys that like to talk, whether it's Dylan Brooks or Torrey Eason. Um, so there's obviously there's a scrum, there's a scuffle. You're wrestling with Dylan Brooks. Ball goes out of bounds. Brooks goes out of bounds with it. And then Şengün, you get into it also with Alperen Şengün, the famous headbutt. Kind of take us through like what lit you up in that moment in a high intense playoff game, no less, to turn up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm chill in this environment, but when it comes to competing, there's just another level and just an edge that I have that I think allows me to be myself as a competitor. So it's a high stakes moment. You're competitive in a playoff environment, and it's just a part of the game. Yeah, it's a part of who I am competitively.
If you're from Maryland, I feel like you have to have at least some of that in you. Like you could be the most quiet guy. You step on the field, you step on the court, like there's a fire that kind of rises.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and yeah, obviously, Cam this year got into it with another DMV basketball legend, KD. That was a um, pretty inspiring. Because I remember John Moran after the game was like, I didn't know Cam had that in him. We need more of that. But obviously, you were a key piece, especially with injuries this past season, Golden State. Steve Kerr, the coaching staff, they call upon you to, kind of help rally off the bench. And you played well, help help the Dubs get past Houston that really tight first round, and then we get to Minnesota. Obviously, Steph goes down in that first game, but what was kind of especially after that Steph injury in game one, what was the team locker room morale spirit kind of?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you lose your star player, there's an energy that's tough to come with it. You feel more for him as a human being more than anything. He's 38 years old, and you know that you play 82 games, and obviously those 82 games matter. But ultimately, the goal for a guy like that at that point in his career is to make another uh, finals run. And so, to see him go down, to know that it was a hamstring, which is normally not something you mess around with, and it's not a tape it up kind of moment. The bummer. just sucked for him in that environment. Obviously, in the moment, you have to figure out a way to try to win a basketball game, and it's a tough series without your star player. You take a star player off any team, it's an uphill battle. So, um, bummed for him. Bummed for Draymond, the veteran guy that are ultimately trying to make a push. On the back end of their career to make playoff runs. Obviously, bummed for myself, but ultimately, at 38 years old, you only got X number of years left. That's what you're thinking about, more so about the person.
You feel you feel for a leader, a guy, and you mentioned it earlier, the amount of work a guy like Steph puts in off the court, and then to see him go down, especially early on as well, you're kind of just like, dang, like, because I think, yeah, sorry, yeah, I just think that you guys could have potentially won that series. Draymond obviously hit, some threes. He was feeling himself. Him and Julius Randle going back and forth. But how are you taking kind of that fuel from last season now coming into this season?
Yeah. You try to carry that momentum over. Not to cut you off, I've got a call here in 5 minutes, so
Oh,
uh,
you're good.
um, you try to take that momentum over, dude. We got, obviously with Steph being out, it's a whole different ball game. So it's a tough series to try to come back from losing a star player. Ant was obviously on top of his game, and Julius just kind of went deep into his bag and just gave us some work. So um, it's just tough, dude. I mean, your whole offense is kind of around a certain guy. Steph is just a game changer that way. Rudy has to step up on ball screens. It takes a big away from the hoop. So totally different ball game at that point. So for us, it was less about the Minnesota series and more so about continuing the momentum of what we built before that. Obviously we picked up Jimmy late in the season and felt like we just became a more poised, under control team down the stretch. And so carrying that momentum over into the new year is pivotal for us.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that, man. I think it's probably appropriate to end it off here asking, obviously you talk about family and other guys, close coaches pushing you. What do you think has faith helped in your sports and your off the field personal journeys?
What is what? I'm sorry.
Faith.
Faith. Faith is huge, man. Faith is obviously a belief in God, but faith across a number of different things. So for me, obviously, belief in God, belief in the work that I've put in, belief in my family and their support. Um, yeah, faith it's a part of the human process. It's part of being a human being and taking a leap of faith. And so for me, I took a leap of faith when I left lacrosse behind, as a player, and just a believer that you have to chase everything that you love in life with a passion. And so, if you don't have the faith and you don't have the belief in yourself, in God, and just in your journey as a whole, it's going to be tough. So, there's going to be hurdles. It took me 4+ years to get to where I wanted to get to, but it's just an ultimate belief in the work and who I am competitively. And so, yeah, faith is everything.
Yeah, it's a really good note to end on. Um, Once again, Pat, thanks for coming on. Um, this was surreal experience for me. I'm still like kind of just a kid, and to have a guy like you be willing to sit down and talk on the pod means a lot. Thanks again to good friend Grant Lanham setting this up. Um, and yeah, man, good luck on the season. Hopefully you guys stay healthy, make a run. Um, yeah, man.
Yeah,
Thanks
happy
for
to.
coming on.
Thanks for having me on. It was a blast.
All right. Have a good one.
All right, brother. Talk soon.